Hi Farhan, hi Rakesh, welcome to our show.
Hi.
So we're sitting on these cubes, it says 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I'm number 3, but I am. So tell me how often you sit on top of that, Farhan?
This is the first time ever in my life in this studio that I've sat.
In the studio, but outside of that?
I got to stand on this #1 podium many occasions during the shoot of BHAAG MILKHA BHAAG. So these fantasies that I had that I'm winning gold medals all came true.
What about you, Rakesh? Were you like an athlete back in school or your younger days?
No way, no. I like everybody else. We dabble in sports.
Yeah.
I used to swim a bit, but no athletics. Yeah, play cricket like any Indian would.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed doing that. Used to practice a bit in National Stadium and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nothing to talk about.
Not like a medal to talk about.
Especially those stands underwater, they're very difficult enough for them to hold our breath.
Correct.
No, I must tell you, I've also got to stand on the #1 thing twice in my life, apart from, of course, for this film.
Right.
Was in school when I used to run. So in a lot of the inter-house events, I used to run short distance, 100, 200 and relay. So we won for that. And recently for my kids' parents' race.
Okay.
You know, after all this training for BHAAG MILKHA, I mean, there was no chance those other parents had. So it was a bit unfortunate for them. But
sure shot winner.
Yeah, I mean, we just like trained a year and a half. It almost felt like for that parents' race. That was actually the first competitive race that I ran against other people who really wanted to win. So it was quite interesting.
Rakesh, tell me, this is the first time you're directing someone who's been a director himself and a writer. Is it different? Do you think his understanding of the role, or is there less explanation to do because he just understands it right away?
I think all these things will get to understand better. But as we were going along, one never gave that a thought. Yes, but what we shared a lot between us, and I guess because of his background as a director, as a writer, as a performer, as an actor, was we shared a lot of silence.
Okay.
Which was, there was very little I had to say or tell him, and we had to discuss. Once we had discussed the scripts and read it hundreds of times over and discussed the character and the film and what are we doing and why we are doing, we didn't know. So, how shall we portray it and what's going to happen and what's the whole world we are going to immerse ourselves into. Once we had wrapped our heads around it, then it was just calling action, and most of the times I forgot to call cut because I used to become a spectator of what's going on out there. It was brilliant. The scenes are conceived so beautifully by Prasoon, and then they were enacted out like amazingly. So. Quite cool, I must say.
But as you've been a director in the past, so is your vision stronger? Like you're very sure about the way you want a scene shot? Do you get involved in that aspect at all?
No, not really. I mean, I think that whole era of what we heard, at least, where there is always one boss on set who cracks a whip and everybody else follows. I think that era is gone. I feel that there is a lot of communication between all departments, and eventually the films that usually end up feeling good to you are the ones where people who have worked on that film have collaborated and had a good time working together.
Rakesh, you told me about how you had told Farhan that he'd be an actor long before he actually became one. Tell us about that.
I didn't tell him that you will be an actor. I used to watch him in Otters Club. He used to come and swim quite often and train in the gym, and always there was something about his eyes. So when Rang De Basanti's script was done, I quietly, very humbly gave it to him. I said, why don't you read it? And so I must have asked him to read, maybe for a bounce back on what the script is. I think I want you to play the main part in this.
Wow.
So that was that, and I guess we were too busy or not thinking about the acting career.
What was the reaction back then, Farhan?
No, I mean, somehow I didn't feel ready, genuinely to say yes to act in a film. I was also, on some level committed to doing Dawn at that point.
Absolutely.
There was also that going on. So it wasn't really on my scope of things, that I should do this. And again, I've seen Rakesh's Like, you know, I'm again, it's somebody I've seen this thing. I've seen Aks before that. I know of him because we are all from the same industry, and I know that he has a certain attachment to his work that just transcends, you know, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. There's a lot more, you know, that goes into it from him personally. And if you're going to say yes to doing something with a person like this, then you have to be feeling the same way.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, about what it is you're going to be doing. And at that point, I didn't feel ready. So just to say yes because it's a great script, you know, but not really back it up with some kind of like, man, this is what I really want to be and want to do. I don't think that's fair to the script, you know, so it just didn't feel.
Rakesh, tell me, how did the first idea come about? And once you had the idea and you went to Milkha Singh, what happened? What was his reaction?
I guess in my growing up years, grew up with the folklore of Milkha Singh, the icon Milkha Singh. What a great man, you know. India had just become independent and we were just finding ourselves. We were a child who was learning how to walk. And here came a son of a soil who made us proud not only in our country but all over the world. The tricolour went up in Tokyo Asian Games and Cardiff. He won 77 of the 80 races in his life. He ran 77 of the 80. I don't know what kind of percentage is that, 99 point something. And then he went on to break the world record. And he went on to break the world record because he had promised his coach, I'll break the world record after the Melbourne loss. And he's that kind of a determination, belief in yourself, and a person especially who's had a lost childhood, who's seen the partition, you know, who's lost everything in that historical event. And there is a huge, it is a human story. This is not a film about an athlete. This is about not running away from your fears, but to running along with them, facing them, beating them, confronting your own demons.
Was he very keen to know who you will be casting for the role?
Strangely, he never asked that question. Question. He hadn't seen a movie for the last 50 years. So I think if I had given him names, he would have looked at me like that.
Yeah, I mean, he did not watch the film. He said last film he watched about 50 some years back. Yeah, so I don't think it would have mattered to him. I think he had by then trusted Rakesh and Prasoon enough to know that they'll make a decision that would be good for the film.
Anything that's really inspirational he's told you which has stayed with you? Just like totally
I mean, yeah, genuinely, the simplest thing that he told me, he's like, when he says, you know, when we ask him about what does he feel about all his victories or his successes, and it's like, it only came from he decided that I'm going to work harder than anybody else. He's like, whatever anybody does, if they run 3 rounds, I'll run 4 rounds. You know, if they run 5 miles, I'll run 10 miles. You know, he's like, I just gave myself that. I'm just going to work harder. There is no barrier to what I should limit myself to in terms of being able to achieve. And once he had done that, so he just told me, he's like, you just work hard and everything else will follow. If you can just keep working hard and give everything you've got. And that was it. It was just that simple philosophy. And I was like, if I can take that and just apply it to everything that I'm doing in this film. You know, and especially in this film, because we're playing this guy, so that should also come through. Because at the end of the day, when people now see the promo and they say you look like you worked really hard, to me that's an amazing compliment for him.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, the fact is that he did work really hard. So I mean, if you can see that get that by looking at this photograph, wonderful. I mean, that's his philosophy.
Rakesh, has he seen the film? Has Milkha Singh seen the film?
He did. I think once he came on the sets, I remember.
Really?
In Delhi.
Wow.
In Delhi. And
what was the moment like for you?
There were 2 Milkha Singhs in front of me. So I said, Milkha Singh, please meet Mr. Milkha Singh.
It was great to have him on set. But I just wished
Did it make you
nervous? No, you know, I just wished at that moment because I remember the first time when his daughter came to set. I was in the racing gear. And I was in shorts and this white ganji which had this 171 number on it, which is a very famous photograph of his. And she came and she saw me in that and she was just like, oh my God, it's Dad, right?
Oh, wow.
So when she saw that, and I wish I was in that when he had come, because that would have been an amazing picture of him, like in his suit and the young Milkha in that thing. But I mean, we had just reached set because he had to take a morning flight and go somewhere. So we were all in our civilian clothes, so to speak.
But he did see some
Putting all
and I was not.
So you would binge in front of him. Yeah, that's torture. Yeah. Farhan, you know, in the past, which were roles you've played, they're very urban, cool, and all of that. This is kind of different. Were you looking for something like that? Because in our industry, generally, actors tend to get typecast in the kind of roles they do.
I don't know if you can go around looking for a certain kind of part. These things, and they happen almost magically. You know, so whether it's my chance encounter with Abhishek Kapoor before Rock On,
Yeah.
you know, or many things that followed, I think eventually your work starts offering you those choices.
Yeah.
Your choice of work offers you future choices.
Yeah.
You know, when people see the films that you do, they decide whether, okay, this boy or this girl looks seriously committed to what he or she is doing.
Yeah.
So let's give them something that may be more challenging to do.
Right.
You know, and so maybe people get drawn to you for that reason. But I think from my end to say, oh, I've done 3 films that are city-based, so now let me
Yeah.
go and look for a film that's set in rustic India.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up making such bad choices because I'm starting off only with a premise which is not a story.
Right.
I'm starting off with a premise that is a background. You know, I mean, I don't know how that will work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, not at all. I don't go looking for any parts. And I just try to make the best possible choice of what comes my way.
Yeah.
You know, and what appeals to me. But it has to appeal on a story level. There's no... the setting of the film cannot be appealing to you.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
The emotion of the film has to really, really grip you.
Yeah.
And once that happens, then whether it's set in a village, in a city, in space, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's serving the purpose of
Right.
telling you a story.
Remember once you told me, Rakesh, that you're not very comfortable doing remakes because there's so many original ideas out there. Do you still feel that way?
I've never said that. I don't know. Just because I've not done any, so it doesn't mean I will not do any. It has to excite
Something
you
has to
and
excite you, yeah.
excite you, and you need to have a take. you should go to the next level
To
or
another
some
level.
other space and some other area too, because only then you'll enjoy it.
Totally.
A lot of time remakes do get mistaken for, sometimes a lot of great cinema has been remade because you really loved it.
Yeah.
And nothing else, no other reason. You were in awe of that.
Yeah. Farhan, when do we see you direct again?
I don't know yet. I'm just very focused right now on this film.
Yeah.
And just want to dedicate all my time, you know, to just getting the word out, I think, to people about how special the film is to
This
us.
one, yeah.
So that, again, that needs to be seen. It can't just happen with, you know, like one quote and chalo, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, when people see that you're committed to something, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
And I feel very committed to this film. So I want to be there for it. And once this film is done and we've kind of, I don't know, somehow torn ourselves away from not wanting to think about it anymore. You know, it's very difficult to not think about it. So we'll have to consciously start telling ourselves, or at least I'll have to, that, you know, like now start thinking about something different. So when that happens, then I'll start thinking about what next.
It's superb talking to you all. Thanks so much. Thanks, Farhan. Thanks, Rakesh, for being on the show. Thank you.
Thanks, Madhur.